It on his English Twitter is hilarious.
So, yeah, and with all of these combined, it means that pick is really just going to hit the ban play as much as you can. I think early game from the side of Team WE is going to be a point of concern of them. If they give BLG an early advantage, BLG are very good at running away with it. They've locked in the Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
If things go a little later, they have some scaling advantage there now. There are very few AD carries which can match Kai'Sa, especially with the build diversity. You can go towards that poke, and you can go for mixed poke with something like a Jace. Of course, the Jace is banned in this game, but it does give you extra options. Whereas you look at BLG's first champions, heavy engage already. As soon as you leave one opening in early or mid game, Annie, Rel pounce on you, and they run away with the game.
It's going to be very difficult. I do expect WE to continue honing their comp around this style, kind of all in. I'm surprised they actually banned the Vi away there, but maybe that point-and-click lockdown, very difficult. Also, On gets the Rel, something we've actually heard him lauded for across the world, across some point. I was particularly missing talking about it. But on the other side for WE, we get the Maokai and Tristana lock-ins for WE.
WE are saying we're going to lock in stuff that as soon as we hit level 6, we're going to try and outrange and peel away for our backline. Tristana is incredibly strong in mid lane right now. Basically, nothing beats Tristana in an even 1v1 in mid lane, and they scale very, very well. Tristana sucks when she isn't ahead, when she doesn't get an early advantage, but there's very few things which can put them behind at this point. So Yagao will be on the Annie, will have some ability to deal with them in team fights and be able to flash forward and get stuns, but in terms of the early game and the early priority and wave push you get in mid lane, that Tristana will be currently uncontested in that, unless BLG have some interesting mid-jungle synergies to bring out, which can really threaten Tristana when she looks to push up.
I don't know if we're going to get a crazy thing like that, but we do get the Jax for Bin, so a side lane pressure. And in the second phase, we get the K'Sante ban away from Cube, so there goes his 16 games played.
Okay, so Cube will have to go look for greener pastures on other champions.
I actually really like this Scion, but I know that's probably not a great choice here.
So the Scion, it fits the 5v5 later on into the game, where you're just putting up a wall in front of your carries so no one can reach them, but you need to have something which can contest early game. And
exactly.
I think also with something with a Tristana, this is something we've seen with Tristana's Ziggs comps particularly put into the spotlight. If you win Herald fights, the game kind of ends because you get like 2,000 power plays before we get even stuff like Baron plays later into the game, because you destroy towers so easily. And having a strong top laner very early into the game, so typically that is something like Renekton, will allow you to win Heralds more easily because you can just contest earlier into the game. Something like a Sign, it doesn't help you in regards to that so more. The problem is now you need to find something that can contest the Jax or survive there, and then also hopefully allow you an angle in towards that Herald. Maybe something like a Gnar could help out with that. That tends to be okay around that point in the game.
I do like that they are trying to whittle down this top champion pool for Cube, though. Take away some of the big pieces and maybe find a wound up there that they can take advantage of. The Kennen, obviously the ban, the Wukong, the Sejuani on the side of WE. It is that fourth lock-in of the Varus for BLG. So we'll be looking at counterpick jungle coming through here at least, unless the Rel has been the flex all along.
Alistair locked into support. So, if it is that Rel support, from what I've heard from support mains talking about this across the world, it's no longer a Rel and Alistair counter each other kind of combination where both of them stop what they're doing. So, that's one thing, that's the support matchup. We talked about potentially having an early pressure top laner that can push, that can fight early into the game. Rumble does tick that box. It ticks some of those checklists. It can be very exploitable. If you die early, the Rumble can very much fall behind, especially against such high CC and burst coming out from the side of BLG. And with the Kha'Zix put in, that even adds into that problem. So a lot of weight onto Cube's shoulders to make sure that early lane goes well, that they manage to push in but not die for the attempt.
And I think something really interesting, obviously Cube hasn't picked this champion yet, this split. But it's not something he's not comfortable with. He has 10 games. He's got 9 wins, baby. He's at a 90% win rate. All right, we're going to see if WE going to start off this series strong. But I will say, giving Shun a lot of power on this Kha'Zix, something he will have a pretty high bar of execution, but it's something that BLG love and are finding comfort in throughout this split. And all the doubters that we've seen, all the JDG lovers that have put down BLG. We'll see if they can capitalize here or if WE can turn around that monstrous loss streak they have now at the end of the split.
Crowd has welcomed us to the arena with their JOs, with their crowd chants. And WE thinking back on this composition, which is really geared toward those 5v5s, and one of the big things which I was talking about this team, they haven't really succeeded in those 5v5s that much towards the end of the split. It has felt like against other playoffs caliber teams, that's been the difference. They have some stronger early plays. They have themselves some decent macro here and there, but against teams like Top Esports and other teams which they face, it has felt like the team fighting has fallen a bit short. This kind of composition is so strong with champions, it might help bridge that gap, but you're bridging that gap to BLG, arguably the best team fighting team in the region, up there with JDG.
And they are not a team that's going to sit back and relax, right? They are sitting at like an insane amount of first presence in turrets. It's a little bit under 50%, but everything else, it's like over 55%. And it's particularly easy to get when you're ahead and getting all these wins, but it has been something that BLG will try to fight you early, and they will not stop fighting you. So now that we're looking at jungle pathing at least, and opposite side starts, we'll see where the focus really comes and how Heng can reactively play into Shun.
BLG's bot lane did give a leash over to Shun, so that's going to be first couple of minions DPS down by Hope and Lwandy. They might get themselves wave push from that. Varus is very hard to push against, so they're probably not going to end up being the case. But Triss going to push in that mid lane. We'll see what happens once a couple of levels are built up by Cube. Started with the Electro Harpoon, so it doesn't have the instant free clear from the Flame Spitter to keep that pushed up. Very interested to see what happens with these lanes and how Heng can really get into these lanes and make a mess of BLG before it gets around to those team fights.
I think for... Oh, little crash down there, little action, double headbutt. Really pulverized there. Getting just some trades back and forth, getting those plasma stacks. Shun has gone for an early gank on the Shanks, trying to get his flash burned. We'll just get the rocket jump instead.
One of the things about the Tristana that we were saying is that in a 1v1, Tristana doesn't lose to anyone right now. It's incredibly strong, and it has felt like the LPL was ahead of that particular meta pick. Scout, in particular, felt like the premier Tristana player in the LPL. But there are a number of players which picked it up time after time. But something like a jungle gank can help get an extra bit of damage down. Is proxying against the Rumble.
Well, he said he's been wanting to flex in the top lane. There you go.
It's like Cube is looking at that. You can see him backstepping and like, can I, guys?
Dude, can he really do this right now? This is illegal.
He will make it legal as he just runs past the wave and takes the proxy.
Ain't that the story of Ben, though?
Yeah, exactly. No, is that there are other teams go like, wait, can he just pick split pushes in this meta? Yes, he can. Yes, he can, and he can do all sorts of weird stuff.
Teammate goes, bro, did you not have nameplates on? That's Ben. Like, come on, man. Like,
never before has a Bin's been so giga as that Jax. If that Jax does get ahead in that matchup, Rumble is not safe from it. So interested to see if Bin can pull ahead in that particular one. Junglers are not really interested in going towards top lane right now, and that's why Bin could go towards that top side play. I had the information that Heng was going towards that bot side. Elk on. There is potential engage here, especially if they stand too close together.
Crash down from On, trying to get him out. Will preemptively flash just in case. Mid lane, though, look at that revisit! This time, they get the rocket jump and the flash.
Exactly what Shun needs to do. Tristana, on their own, does so much work. Very hard to do that in a 1v2 when you know the enemy jungler is not going to be there to respond. Yeah, it's a flash away, but something like the Tristana does want an advantage. Even just forcing them back and blowing a flash for flash can really help this mid lane matchup stabilize for something like Annie's Yagao, or Yagao's Annie. Other way around on that one. We've seen him play it so much, it does get a bit confusing. Going back to seeing the picture-in-picture exactly what happened. Charges up the stun, checks that there's no one coming in from bot river, gets the instant stun, and then the good chunk is enough in this gank. Even though it's not a kill, it's high value.
Ooh, that's a flash from Elk, but then they turn it back around. That's what I love in these kind of situations. You think it's a defensive flash, but they really just want to turn it back on you. That's going to be the cleanse having to be used from Hope. He will burn the flash, but look at this. They could go for it on deciding not. The reservation actually winning over for BLG. Maybe that's a first at this point. Heng tried to come over here and put out a fire.
Varus has so much damage in early levels. Very high range for an AD carry, people forget that, but when you're sat there auto-attacking each other, it can buy you an extra auto. It can buy you the first auto-attack on a wave as well as you can test for it. But that Marco slipped in.
I don't think they knew he was there. There's the double pulverize as well, and Odd is out of there. Got the trade back. It will just be that kill to Hope, though, and that's the biggest importance. Shanks coming here to cut him off as well. The sapling connected, and On has no way out of here. The sacrificial rel here, and Hope gets another one. That's 2 kills for the big gun show of WE.
And this all-important jungle matchup has started to get some value here for Team WE. Shun had held back Shanks a little bit, but can't stop him from roaming first in this play. Yagao just not able to go towards that bot side, and it really felt like BLG as a whole, not just Elkanon, were just not aware of where Heng was going onto that map, and that Maokai gets very big value in that bot side play.
That was so big, and just the communication from WE to get the roams down there, really nice to see. It was actually Shun, I will just say, starting up that dragon a little preemptively with all the pressure down bot side. Elkanon had no idea.
Going back into that replay course, we're seeing exactly that. So, out of Fog of War, didn't end up getting spotted because there were so many summoners spotted. A Cube!
Oh, Cube! He gets this one back! Let's go! Solo Bolo for the top laner at WE.
And that top lane matchup where Cube picks up his 9-1 Rumble has some fire left in it as well. Not just the bot side of the map starting to have their own fun. Dragon is going to get started up and finished by Team WE after all this is said and done. So part of the checklist for Team WE was make sure you hang with it in the early game. Try and get as much as you can out of that before you get to those team fights. It feels like BLG would almost inevitably win with an early lead, given what we know of how they snowball. This is not the worst start for them.
It is not. We'll see how that topside play actually started. Really heads-up play just to try to take the fight from Cube.
Dodges out on the equalizer does bin, so Cube can't get that tagged onto the Jax quite as soon, but that's going to be a big wave loss of bin under tower, sadly for him. Still even in that farm, so not the worst thing ever, but could have been so much further ahead.
And I think Cube is actually finding a little bit of promise up here on this Rumble. Really cool that he's able to pick this one up for him, but Shun will not stop hunting at this point. That's where a little bit of top lane focus could go a long way, especially with the Rift Herald coming up about 20 seconds here. Won't actually end up finding the play, and going to go ahead and get that reset.
Again, BLG would really love to not give over that Herald to Team WE because they have a Tristana. There's every chance that that Tristana could then get a huge push with the bombs on towers. Demolitionists very strong with that one. So BLG, if they could get a freebie around that top side, that would mean an awful lot to them to deny Team WE that Herald and of course just get it for themselves. Not exactly bad for any team. Speaking of that, I'm going to head towards that top side and ward out with the pseudo wards of those saplings. Everyone making their way up there now. 80 carries left alone in a 1v1 towards bot side, so they're not going to be present at this play. It is only top side ultimates available. And considering that there's no flash on any WE top side, there was a potential for a fight from BLG, but they're giving it over for free as it stands.
They are. And this is a bit hesitant for me. I really, when I see a Kha'Zix, want to see some advantage, some proactivity, but it's actually WE being very proactive. And that's a breath of fresh air for them here. Something they can utilize potentially. Hope's just going to try to get some vision, maybe do the Krugs here, but does get spotted out. We'll see that they have a lot of presence on bot side, though, as Lwandy's coming back to lane. Maybe some more plates to L.
How much are they going to get for this? If they can zone off the Kai'Sa enough from bot side, it's still valuable to them. Because, of course, there's a 2-kill Kai'Sa from the early fight. It is 2 plates, but you have to deny a fair amount from Hope. It's not like you're shutting the AD carry out from the game because of those early plays. Yagao is looking for the dive. This play needs to work out from BLG.
They do have the flash tippers. They only get Lwandy there, but it's enough to carve up the beef into some hamburgers. Yagao goes down immediately as a trade, though. It's Shun 2. This is disastrous. That's 2 for Hope and 1 for Heng.
BLG, they look for the cross map onto bot side. They give up Herald for a chance to shut down Hope's Kai'Sa, shut down an LPL Kai'Sa, and it doesn't work for them. Heng is going to get found out by Elk, who does have the ult. Might be able to find some damage here.
The sapling coming to try to help him. Heng get a little bit low, but no follow-up's going to be there. The biggest focus for me now is the fact that Hope has 4 kills. He's got the static shiv already, and this man is off to it.
So the 4 kills is obviously huge, buys up the static shiv. But the thing is, it's the 4 kills when he should have died here. BLG put so much into this play. They say, look, you can have the Herald even though you have the Tristana, even though you have a strong Kai'Sa. But if we kill your Kai'Sa, maybe we can get enough value to trade that Herald and get value out of it later. That's not been the case now. So BLG, they lose on both sides of the map. Team WE, that's a huge win for them.
Some happy gaming going on for BLG here, feeling a little bit of the moment. Well, now WE, decisive as ever. First item spikes out. Lwandy up top, Hope up top. See if they can punish Ben.
Well, Ben doesn't have flash. It's coming up in a few seconds. They're looking to push it in. They do have a Herald to drop if the Maokai makes their way up there as well. First item picked up for that champion too. So Heng going to have a decent amount of AP damage. And On is now caught.
He has the flash. He does have the crash down out. He's able to get out of there without the flash. It's a decent poke there from Elk on the backside too.
One gets out without having to burn that flash though, which is all important for that rel. Allows you to go for those flash Q stuns. Typically, it used to be the flash jump combos.
Do it again.
Less so nowadays.
do it again and find out if you're gonna find out. He does end up making out alive with another crash down. Sapling though with the burn a little close there, but WE now collapsing around this top side with 3 plates left and a little bit of time. This is a dicey situation as the Nature's Grass comes out. This is BLG getting locked down under the equalizer.
Roasted.
As the Chains of Corruption actually connects there. Hope not going to take the arrow either though, and Elk is just going to go down to Hope's killer instinct.
This is a really strong early game from Team WE. It is exactly what we asked from them because we know that BLG, they're so good at snowballing those leads. Bin forced to flash, might still die anyway.
Oh, he is so dead. Oh, Cube. One more harpoon should do it. Captain says it hits.
And BLG now have to look at a 5-kill Shiv Kai'Sa. That is absurdly strong. And the problem that BLG are going to run into now is that you're going to have to deal with a Rumble that is ahead and will be pushing a lane. Static Shiv on a Kai'Sa, you don't have any Shivs yourself, is going to be also pushing another lane for free. And you're not going to be able to control any of the map. And you can already see when they are forced under their own turrets, things get very difficult for them because they have to sit under these own structures and hope that the Maokai ult and the Rumble ult don't combo up as well as just happened in this replay.
Hope just right there with an incredible decisive moment as well. We're looking at the final parts of this one, but I'm looking at the picture-in-picture as we have a Rift Herald being taken out. Meanwhile, we have a fight where Shoot is getting headbutted away from the dragon. He gets it finally. We'll be able to make it out alive after that. There was a charge in mid lane, more plates for WE. They've gotten a ton so far, 7 in total.
And if they get the second Herald, that's just mid-tower completely gone. Sometimes it can be quite hard to take down that mid-turret during mid-game because an AD carry is stationed there and wave clears for free for forever. So, WE, that's very big for them. Means if they just secure that objective, that's mid-turret going with it. Lwandy is going to get caught out on his recall, but BLG not going to be able to find themselves a fight now. We're getting to the point of the game, though, where we need to see how Team WE can transfer into those 5v5 stages of this game, because they have a composition which fits it. They've struggled as a team to really make those 5v5s work against top-tier opposition in the LPL as of recent weeks, but they have themselves a good advantage. BLG don't exactly have the easiest 5v5 comp to play against Team WE, so maybe they can see it out in this first game.
And you're now seeing those first items come across for BLG as well. The Umbral Glaive had been completed way earlier for Shun, but the Loon's Echo there for Yagao, as well as the Yumus for Elk now there. So you have a little bit more mobility at least. But the biggest thing, plates are coming off now. We have another Rift Herald in about a minute, looking for WE to continue to be proactive against the comp, and especially a Shun, who is not going to have a lot of fun as team fights come around.
And that word proactivity, I think I definitely agree when with what you said earlier in terms of when you see a Kha'Zix, you really want to see them using their early strength and looking to duel people across the map. It's less about the 5v5s around objectives, even though you secure them very well. That's an ult put into mid lane, though. I want to traded.
Yeah, just going to easily trade that one. Throw up to Emilio Popcorn. And it looks like BLG will actually have first presence around this Rift Herald. They will need to push back out mid lane, though.
Yeah, but pushing out mid lane is really, really hard against the static Shiv Kai'Sa, who instantly deletes waves. It's why this item is broken. It's not necessarily about the damage it brings with LeBlanc Night Harvester, which is very strong, don't get me wrong. But look at this. How do you push out mid lane against this? How do you defend your mid lane turret? You're just waiting for these arrows to try and clear out minions. It's very hard to move first onto the map and be proactive in the way that we want BLG to be when you can't defend the turret.
They literally can't. They are Shun is on a ward, so it makes it easier, but you literally can't step up.
What do you do against this item? 5 kills on the AD carry. You can't outfight them at that point either. Yes, you can look to land an opportunistic ult from someone like Elk, but you can't do that and put yourself out of position. And now suddenly, no mid lane out of turret for Varus to stand behind. You're going to be in a lot of trouble as soon as Maokai and Rumble look towards your lane. BLG are now going to have to watch this Herald go down as well. It feels like they're getting choked out a little bit by WE.
This is the doom scenario, though, as you said. Don't want to give over that Rift Herald to WE. They will just have to concede it, and they don't have much presence on the map. Yes, Yagao gets a side lane turret, and that is pretty good. You'll be able to steal away the Krugs potentially there, too. Another wave push, but it's still the holistic team comp and a double marksman comp, more particularly, that is getting ahead for WE.
Kind of needs to be ahead in the Tristana's eyes, at least. I think the rest of the champions are pretty happy to be at whatever state in the game. As long as they hit 2 items, they're happy with life. But the Tristana being ahead is really annoying for the side of BLG too, because it's not just the static Shiv diff. how do you outpush someone like a Tristana in a side lane? And Rumble. These are all very good champions at just making sure you never fight on your side of the the enemy side of the map. You're just consistently now going to be in the wrong part of Summoner's Rift. You're not going to have that territory controlled. And we're now looking at a phase in the game where BLG are very happy that they've taken at least one dragon, because it feels like they're not going to have easy entries into next dragons that spawn in the game.
It's going to be even more difficult. I just really like how much Maokai has been a presence in the LPL, but how much it gives control around objectives, no matter where you're at. Speaking of control around objectives, WE, they are just a 4-man death squad right now hunting a metal horse on. That was a killer instinct from Hope actually there. So big cooldown use should be back up not too long from now.
Now, Rel's knockup is a bit weird nowadays because it's a smaller area, but as you slide along the ground, you can still knock people up. I think Hope might have ran into that little slide along the ground if I were to hedge a guess there, so Hope can get cancelled out as well. So, okay, cross-map play. This is what BLG are really set up to do. They have a lot of isolated damage.
They realize Shanks has literally nobody up here. They had all 4 members down towards that dragon. And Shanks, he rocket jumps, but it's not going to be it. The flash comes through. Is he going to get the outplay here? He cannot. The turret shots are easily tanked and juggled, and BLG capitalize on Shanks in the side lane.
So what's happening on bot side though? Okay, Herald into bot side, out of turrets. That's going to be a full turret taken down. They can potentially get a push onto the inner turret as well. No teleports to get towards bot side, which means that BLG can't do something like wait for an over push of this Herald and then teleport behind them. So this is going to be an inner turret. BLG trading down in the grand scheme of things because of this huge chunk put down onto that inner turret. At least the gold doesn't go over just yet.
Doesn't go over just yet, but it is WE who are already front and center for a second dragon. BLG are going to try to trade that for a tier 2.
Okay, so, you know what? I take that back. BLG do not trade down. They get themselves the inner turret. I thought that Herald would secure that push on the bot side. It is going to be that dragon going over, you're absolutely right. But we are getting into some weird cross maps now. Both teams know that they'd rather stay on the isolated sides of the map. BLG didn't have teleports to respond cross map towards bot side. So they get as much as they can on top side, and it ends up being a 2-for-2 tower trade, with the dragon also going over to the side of WE, you have to imagine at the end of this.
Heng has been doing this dragon for so long. He's finally doing it. No! They're taking a solo kill! That's not fair. Dude, he put so much work.
The great battle of tree and dragon. I never thought I'd see that one before. But this is a really good set of decision making from BLG, where they realize, hang on, this is the one time we've had to have an isolated play with strong individual champions, and they find another one.
When you give a shutdown to shoot on the Kazakhs, my goodness.
And you also take the static shiv off the map for a while. I really want to see now if BLG can pressure this mid lane out of turret for the one time in the game it feels like you're going to be without that Kai'Sa on the map.
No way. No way they are just doing this right now. What the hell is going on?
This is disaster from Team WE. They should never be losing a mid lane out of turret, given how strong their champions are at wave clearing around this lane. Everything we've talked about this team is how many good pushing lanes they have, how they can force BLG to get choked out of the map. And suddenly, they lose topside control of that. And they cross-map too much gold over to this. And then Hope is just left alone in this mid lane, and he dies for free. This is a huge overstep from Team WE across the map.
I saw the Eclipse get completed for Shun. I was like, okay, that's going to be nice and great. Well, they just pressed it. Like, there was literally after this back here, they just find multiple picks. And also starting off with Elk with a Chains of Corruption there. Lwandy, he's not getting away from it for the 3rd time.
Might see ourselves a trade of AD carry mistakes in the mid lane, though, as Elk potentially was called out there. Of course, it's kind of difficult for Varus to stay in this mid lane now without the mid lane out of turret. It's Elk is just, he just wants to go home, man. He's calling an Uber. He wants to get back out after the night out.
Item.
Wants that second item, of course, to as you were saying. But,
no way,
Baron
they just
has
do
now
this.
spawned. It's 20
they are
minutes
just
in.
doing it.
Bin has teleport. Elk needs to get hit as soon as possible. WE very decisive on pulling the trigger, though.
They are doing it, Mr. Krabs. We'll see. Actually, Lwandy on the back here getting engaged on with the equalizer. That's pretty big. Shun just gets caught out completely. 3,000 on the Baron, but BLG are taking the other side of the fight. Bin is in the pit now, and Bin is starting to do some work. On's coming around. He's trying to get Shanks. He misses him. But now BLG with Elk from behind, they can't do much. And they lose their front line. The Baron goes over, and my goodness, what a game we have.
Decisive Baron start at 20 minutes from Team WE. The stopped recalls of Elk in the mid lane absolutely win that play for them. Suddenly the Varus is not there with full mana, extra items completed that can contest for that objective, and Team WE force BLG into an awkward spot. They're the ones which make the play fast, and in the replay you can see how awkward it is for the positioning from BLG. They don't have the AD carry chucking in the extra damage right from the off. Great equalizer to zone off half the team while they go focus on the Kha'Zix, who's out of position. Mistimes his engage, as shown at that point, despite the great plays which he's had in recent moments.
Yeah,
and then there's a couple of awkward moments after this, right? On misses the stun, and BLG, they can't clean up what few kills it felt they could claim back.
That's the problem with the double marksman comp, is you have so many avenues for damage as well, and it's just a complete fight back from WE in that moment. Look at that gold. You expect, when you see that for both marksmen, you're already in a sad state. Well, oh, I guess Cube's in a bit of a sad state too. He's not playing a Moo, but he's crying.
Okay, so Cube plays the map a little bit too wide. When you have a Baron buff taken very early into the game, often you do need to play on multiple lanes to try and get those waves into the right place on the map. But when you're doing that against the Kha'Zix, he kind of kills you for the attempt. So Team WE, maybe a little bit mistaken about their macro around this point, and now BLG, they're playing without that equalizer against them.
They are being so decisive on the map with these TPs as well. Lwandy gets flashed on by Bin. He's in the pit by himself. The headbutt doesn't bring him out of the pit and should just go down here. Shanks trying to skirt the edge there. BLG catch out the support of WE.
Team WE, they play on too many lanes. They should have just tried to go for something like a 1-3-1 with Heng trying to protect Cube when he was alone in that one other lane, but they play a little bit too wide. BLG pick up some kills, and knowing that then they're not faced with all 5 members of Team WE, they find themselves in a very important kill. Hope
they want it. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go, Hope. Solo bolo for Team WE's ADC.
Hope has so much gold, though. Back and forth this game's been. Baron buff's still technically on Team WE. It doesn't feel like they're using it to siege. They're just kind of using it to, I don't know, just keep fighting, I suppose. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. BLG would really like to not give over Soul Point as well, because, of course, that will force them into some pretty awkward 5v5s. And they haven't won the straight 5v5s yet. BLG, they're poking their heads in towards this bot side, and Shanks is going to get caught.
He completely gets eviscerated here. Easy does it, as the threat has been detected and Shun eviscerates him to death. Now, actually, a weird engage on the On, who has to turn around and run away after using the Hex Flash. Run, little horsey, run! Oh, he's going to try to use the Crash Down. He's a little bit slow now, though, as well. The sapling doesn't connect. They're going to equalize the rip, too. This is for Lwandy. This is revenge.
But that's a rel. What? Why, folks, why are we committing that hard to a support when the Dragon's dying?
Because BLG did that to Lwandy. That's why.
Yes, but BLG are using that to say that, oh, but we can take a more split fight at this point. If you're trading 1-for-1 randomly across the map, it very much favors BLG because they have better champions to fight in split fights. They end up walking away with the Dragon and BLG, reminding us that they are, again, just a team which is so hard to put down in the LPL. Yeah. Time after time, they find themselves in deficits because they have been outplayed at points, but then they just come back with this crazy mid-game, which they always have.
Yeah, it's them making decisions together, right? A lot of this time, it literally has just been them saying, we're going here, we're going to find what we get, and we're going all in. And it's happened multiple times where they've actually been able to catch out WE. But here is Hope solo bolo. That killer instinct is true to its name.
Kai'Sa is an assassin, folks, and the crowd loves that one.
Let's go.
Wild. Turns out, though, another assassin is this Kha'Zix. Edge of Night makes it really hard for Tristana to disengage from this Kha'Zix. Goes in Viz. We see a couple of kills. Would have quite like to see that.
Okay, then. Third item makes a difference. Hope now on a roll. And WE actually looking at bot lane inhib turrets.
How the heck did that happen? So, BLG, they lose 2 people on a side lane where previously they were winning those kinds of fights. So I have no idea what the heck happened there. You're really hoping that Elk can wave clear at this point. He has an ultimate to try and stop someone in their tracks. They're going to be able to clear out the first wave, which does hit that turret. So it luckily for them,
it actually connected,
looks
but
like
it's not going to follow. Oh, Lwandy tanking up the turret here. A couple shots will do, but the Unbreakables is nicely tanking it up. See them actually trying to make it out of here. There's no TP. There's no big play on the back end of it. And BLG, we're just trying to defend.
we are finally going to see what happened in this bot side. So they're trying once again to catch someone out, isolate them. That is such a good stopwatch.
The zoom out.
Oh, cute.
The zoom out of the you're literally just focused on those three, and then you look at the entire team of WE. That was incredible. Shout out to the observers. That was actually really good.
That was an insane stopwatch, though. Zhonya's from Cube, such high value at that point, because Shun was threatening to take over the game. Team WE, they've not been good at protecting people pushing alone in side lanes. BLG have recognized that, and that's why they've been giving themselves some extra options in this game. So, what do we have spawning? We have Baron in 15 seconds. Team WE, it looks like they can group up there. If they can finally get another group top fight, that would be very big for them. That's a bit of a free Maokai ult. Is that just to pop the edge of night?
Especially at the timing of the Baron.
Is that just to pop the edge of night? That's going to be up fairly soon, unless he runs into another sap.
I think they felt like they had a pull on it. Oh, decisiveness is key, though, and they're already at half health on the Baron. You don't have a TP from Ben. He's just looking for inhib towers. Is this the moment that Shun can find the in? Can he get into the pit? He's getting knocked around now. Equalizer comes through, and the Baron goes to WE, and that just means they're going to look for the fight. Hope is flashing forward, but he overextended. He gets sniped by Elk. Lwandy taking out two, and Ben and Elk, the mainstay, carries a BLG fight back, but it's the Baron to Team WE.
You know what? That ult before the Baron, I genuinely think it was to remove the edge of night. Shun couldn't get into the pit. He couldn't tank up that first skill shot. And without that Maokai ult, yes, BLG managed to get a little closer and take the fight a little better than potentially they could have done. But Shun was really shut out of that fight. Lwandy never gave them an option. Now to the WE, they have themselves their second Baron. They can push in across that map again and hopefully start to break the base. Going back into the replay, this is of course after the Maokai ult has been cast, but Lwandy makes Shun's life so difficult, even if Yagao has a good engagement.
Oh, he tried to jump right there. Really good timing from Lwandy.
He just does so well at I mean, what do you do as the Kazakhs? You're sat there going, well, guys, I can deal with the one person in the side lane, 5 people in a Baron pit with an Alistar blocking them. Not sure that's my jam.
It is what it is. We got 45 seconds for a third dragon for either team, though. It has been WE in the lead, now 4,000 just about with the gold, but it's still BLG who will not give up the fight.
Now, there is something which we haven't talked about as much, though, which is we do have a certain bin of the Giga variety in this game. We did really well in that last team fight, and that's 3 items and a stopwatch for them. We have a fight coming up in 30 seconds for this dragon spawning. It's not soul point for either. It's not soul for either of these teams. It would be soul point. I think at this point, Bin is ready to take over the game if he gets into that backline. The burst has been going a little bit back and forth for both these teams. So that Jax really looking for what Bin can do.
Yagao buying as much time as he can in the side lane. Shun needs to not get caught out preemptively. He will just get burned down. Yagao's taking the inhib tower here, as well as mid lane outer in tier 2 by Elk. This is a heck of a play for BLG. They don't even want the dragon. They just want the base.
The only reason they can do this is because they managed to get that first dragon in the very early game. This isn't a soul they're giving up. You can give up a soul point.
Oh, he didn't get it.
They wouldn't have done that without the soul. This is such a heist from BLG. How have they managed this?
Illegal gameplay, illegal gameplay. Here's the Nature's Grasp, though, trying to capitalize on that one. I don't hear the sirens, but I do see the lockdown onto on. Nothing else going to come of it, though, and BLG get away with it.
They do. So they get themselves a couple of towers down from the map, and the gold, despite Team WE being ahead for the majority of this game, is still a fairly manageable gold deficit for BLG. They're not completely behind the game. Yagao's at 3 items. Of course, Shun has so much damage. And Bin, we've already talked about how he can take over a fight if he gets in close after the initial skill shots are used. The big difference is this AD carry position. If Hope is alive and Hope is dealing damage, I don't think BLG have the stats to out DPS this Kai'Sa going absolutely wild on the backline.
Yeah, I mean, that Void Staff does so much work, not only in the poke, but also the just teamfight damage. A double marksman comp that's getting towards full items is a scary one. We did get 4th item now completed for Elk. It is a Maw, so a little bit more utilitarian build for BLG's ADC, but still something that fits really well in the style they're going with, right? They gave up the dragon so that they know they have to fight in that 3-minute and 40-second timer.
So, Team WE, they are still really in the lead when they start grouping up multiple members. BLG are currently trying to play around their individual members, though. Trying to split the map, play on multiple lanes. Yagao's in a side lane, Bin's in a side lane, but Shun's caught.
Shun's caught. That's a flash. That's everything he's used. He's completely out of it. He gets taken out by Cube here. Has now been with the flank trying to catch out Lwandy. Maybe he's looking for a trade. The equalizer comes through. Shanks not finding an angle there. But Shun going down is a big piece to BLG gone off the map. And Shanks is here. This is a 5v4. BLG playing pretty confidently into it.
Yeah, they've used that equalizer now, have Team WE. BLG, you could see the angles they were looking for. Bin stacking up that passive, getting the extra attack speed, seeing if he can get in for a huge stun at some point, but didn't have the flash to make it the easiest thing ever. That's coming off a cooldown just now. We are once again in a very even game state. BLG try and split the map. Team WE force BLG to come to them. BLG after this are going to try and spread out again and hopefully not get caught the next time of asking.
All 5 redeploying like the team they are. Team WE looking at the next item spikes to really come across. The strength that we've seen from this team in this first game is a welcomed sign of a wake up for them, right? This is a team that we were talking about at the beginning, has been on an incredible slump. And to come out and start swinging against BLG feels good, man.
Absolutely does. 3-match loss streak is not an easy thing to contend with, even if you have locked playoffs. W would want so much more for themselves than that. Team W would want more than just this even game state right now. They want to play around this Baron spawning in a minute. Trading ults for ult between Lwandy and Elk. Not having that Alistar ult is significant. You can't tank up nearly as well as Lwandy now. Yeah,
and you're already about a quarter back on the ulti from Elk too. The biggest thing in this moment, though, is, you know, the Kazakhs didn't get ahead like we wanted to, and in team fights, it's not Kazakhs' bread and butter. You got to find ways to pick it apart, and that's what BLG have been trying to do.
Mazel, we got macro shenanigans happening again. BLG, they don't want to walk into Fog of War. They don't want to walk into Team WE. They're pushing mid, here. But can the engage land from WE?
This is a little bit dicey. They look for Bin, though, on the backside. Equalizer comes out. Shun is actually caught out here as well. And look at Cube just manhandling him right there. WE, the big knockup into the Magnet Storm. Yagao goes for the engage there as well. Lwandy trying to find Elk. Bin can't get to the back line. Can he get hope? One more auto. Bin is the saving grace right now with Elk on the other side. All the carries for BLG are still alive, and they're taking you down one by one. You cannot rise to the might that is Bilibili Gaming. It is the straw which breaks Team WE's back. BLG never wanted to give them an even 5v5, so they didn't. They split the map, they played on different lanes, and they finally pulled Team WE apart. It's a good attempt. Are you freaking kidding me? There's no way. I mean, it's a Jax. We literally just said WE were coming back, and BLG smacked them in the face and say, you have no say here. As they're one Nexus tower down, Bin, he needs to try to finish it. A couple autos, you still got 4 seconds for hope. This is it, BLG, they've turned around a game number 1. Yagao with this little auto attack finishes it off. And that's game 1 to Bilibili. You cannot convince me that Bilibili Gaming do not have plot armor. How the hell do they walk away with that first game?